How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back for the final FPL stream of the season. This is the end of season review here on Twitch. We will be putting this up on YouTube as we normally do, where we can take a look at the season and as a whole see where we did well, see where we went wrong. There's going to be a lot of those, and yeah, we're just going to take a look at how we did in obviously the previous game, how we did in our predictions overall across the season. I'll make sure to tally that up and get my total points across the season. And yeah, we'll definitely be doing this next year and looking to improve, obviously. And we'll kind of set ourselves some goals as well. And we can kind of look back on it and kind of say, you know what, we need to make sure that we have our goals in mind, and that we're able to continue with with that. Basically, we want to be able to progress. We don't want to have a bad start, because that's very important in FPL to get a good start. And we want to obviously make better informed decisions. So we'll see where we went wrong. I have a bunch of different tools that I saw from various different FPL outlets to basically go across the season. I have not looked at them. I literally just loaded the pages, and I'm going to look at them live, so it's going to be a kind of a blind reaction, as it were. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the review. So this is the team up on the screen at the moment. So basically we have here our final game week, and it was a very good one. We ended on a high. We got 3 points from Martinez, which is better than Areola 0. Trent got us 5 points, not too bad. Robertson, who we brought in, got us 8 points. Willock got us 8 points as well. Aguero captained. I mean, what a way to end your career with Man City. Stellar. Vardy getting 2 penalties, starting the season off how he or ending the season how he started it, basically. Was it the first game week that he got 2 penalties? Yeah, it was against West Brom. I think he got 2 penalties, and then he got 2 penalties versus City, I think it was, and he was on like a hot streak of just penalties, which was insane. And we didn't bench too many bench points. Yeah, we couldn't have done any better, literally, because Ain and Shaw and Areola got 0, and our players in those positions did better. If we could swap out Digne for Ward-Prowse, we would, but we couldn't. So we ended up with 65 points with the -8, and it actually paid off as well, which was quite nice. But yeah, the Aguero captain was a nostalgia pick. I went for it. We ended up on just inside the top 750k, which I'm not happy with, obviously. We set up a very ambitious goal of 10k, considering we started doing videos towards the end of last season. But this was our first full season, so this is kind of the inaugural season, as it were. And we were way higher last season. We thought we could go into the top 10k. That's the goal every year, and we got nowhere close to that. So we're going to make sure that we make better informed decisions. We're going to make sure that we get off to a better start, and hopefully we can get some luck, because you need a little bit of luck when it comes to FPL sometimes as well. But yeah, game week rank at 294k, 2,229 points overall. So if we take a look at our predictions, we'll just run through these quickly, just so we see how we did. So yeah, basically, if you don't know how predictions we do, we've done them throughout the whole season, and basically I predict the scores every week, and I put them over on Twitter, so make sure to follow us over on Twitter for that. And basically, if you get them right, you get 3 points. If you get the result right, then you get 1 point, and if you basically get anything else, it's 0 points. So in this case, had I predicted Arsenal to beat Brighton 2-0, I would have got myself 3 points, but I predicted 2-1, thought Brighton would score, so I only get just the 1 point. Aston Villa surprisingly beating Chelsea on the final day of the season, which was madness on the final day. Chelsea losing, Leicester was up, and then Chelsea was losing when Leicester went ahead, and then Spurs came back with Bale. It was pretty crazy. Fulham Newcastle, got that one wrong as well. Steve Bruce's men ended up reaching their target. I think he set like 45 points he wanted to get, and they did that. Leeds, I predicted 3-0 over West Brom. They ended up winning 3-1, conceding a penalty, or not a penalty, a late goal, which isn't ideal for them, but they'll take it. Leicester, I thought, would win 2-1 over Spurs. They were winning 2-1 at one point, and then Spurs came right back with Schmeichel making a horrible mistake, and then they got carved open. So we got that one wrong there. Liverpool Crystal Palace, got the exact score right. So we get 3 points for that. City, we got the result right. They end up smashing Everton to bits. Burnley, disappointing on the final day for them. Ended up losing 1-0. West Ham, we got the result right. I predicted 2-1. They won 3-0. So not too bad there. Jesse Lingard getting a late assist with some bonus points on... Oh, no, that was last week. Who scored for West Ham? Oh, right, it was like Fornals, Bowen, and yeah, Soufal was the one that burnt me this week. So yeah, but at least we got the result right. And United actually ended up winning 2-1. It was 1-1 at one point, and then Wadamata got a penalty and ended up securing that. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 points to end the season, which is about average. Maybe 8 points, I think, is the average, which is basically 1 correct score out of 10, and then 5 correct scores total. Leeds didn't keep the clean sheet. Allison did, though. Fernandez kept a clean sheet himself as well. Torres, I don't believe, scored for Man City. No, they did have a lot of scorers, though. He, unfortunately, was not one of them. And Firmino got an assist, I believe, on Mane's first goal. Yeah, they did award it to him. So, yeah. Overall, not too bad on the prediction side of things. So, where does that leave us? So, I think 7 is probably the most common score I got. The highest I got was in Game Week 19 because there was more games, and that was with 15. But the highest single game week I got was in Game Week 11 and 12. I got 10s, which must have got quite a few scores right there. But I'll tally that up, and I'll make note of it for next season. So, moving on to one of the main features of today's end of season, we're going to take a look at Dinko Brakanov. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Got 77 points on the final day of the season. His extra 20 points would have put him... He was only 4 points... That extra 20 points basically was only a 4-point gap basically between these two on the last day of the season. So congratulations to Dinko Brakanov. I think that's how you pronounce it. Hero Ball. I believe that's the Croatian flag. Actually, I had a mate from university who's Croatian. A Hammers fan as well, so he's probably excited about European football next season. His team was very, very good on the final day. He had Target, got himself 5 points. Philip 6, Kufal 10. Salah captain, who did okay. Son coming in there. Mane was brought in as well. Kane, Bamford, obviously Foden on the bench isn't great. And his one transfer. Let me go back to... transfer history. His last transfer on the last day of the season, Fernandez to Mane. Can't get any smoother than that. So congratulations again, Dinko Brakanov. Ended the season on a 1,735th ranking. Absolutely fantastic season. And yeah, he did quite well. It looks like in a couple other leagues he got first. There's a lot of other leagues he got first as well. So yeah, did really well for himself. If we actually take a look at his game week history, he started off quite decently. Where the rank kind of fluctuates a little bit. So 638k. If you're inside the top million after week 1, you're doing very good. Then did really well. Then had probably one of the smallest red arrows of his season. Then went up. Then went way back down. And then he was actually his highest point looks to be here, where he was in triple digits after game week 18. Had a bit of a rough patch around the the blanks and whatnot, but then basically from game week 24 onwards, pretty much steadied the ship in the top 5k, and then managed to try to press to see if he can break into the top 1k, which would have been great. So yeah, he basically used all of his chips around the 25th 26 game mark. But his wild card in game week 5 ended up getting him a very sizable green arrow with 96 points in that week. Absolutely massive. So let's actually check that week and see who he wild carded in. If I go back, And I change this up here to a 5. He brought in Martinez by the looks of it. So who did he have the game week before? So he had McCarthy, Trent, Justin, Ayling, Caballero, Salah, Aubameyang, Barnes, Mitrovic, Jimenez, Ings, Bissouma when he scored his worldie, Burr, Ferguson. Yeah, his team was not in great shape after a -4. So then he wildcarded, brought in Martinez, brought in Robertson, Semedo, Salah, Son, Zaha, Captain Kane. Yeah, that's a fantastic week if I do say so myself. And that week in game week 5, yeah, Kane got 2 goals and an assist. So yeah, pretty good week, and Son did well as well. So they did quite well. How's it going, Hazard? Just reviewing over the winner for the Flames Recruit League. It was Dinko Brakenov with his Hero Bowl team. And yeah, we will have your name in the description of this video and for the entirety of next season as well, and seasons to come. You will be in the description as the 2020-2021 Flame Lord. You are the leader of all the Flame recruits. I am now been diminished to a recruit. I finished like 150th something. So I have to potentially see if I can get that back next season, and I hope you join us for next season as well. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. The Aguero gamble turned out, yeah, it was quite good. It was quite good. That, you know, ended on a high. So let's take a look at our game week history, so we can see where potentially some things went wrong here. So I'm actually gonna bring out the old Epic pen here. So this is something I actually used in my last video. So basically, I can draw on the screen and stuff like that, which is quite nice, and you guys get to see it. So if we take a look, game week 1 rank of only 37 points. That is kind of where, you know, we you know, the first few weeks we kind of stayed around the 2 million mark. Like if we look at just this block or thereabouts in here, we didn't get off to a good start. We were still, you know, close to the top 2 million by the time we got around to game week 8. And game week 8 to 10 is kind of like the barometer of where you're going to have to start, you know, making moves, basically. After the first 8 or 9 game weeks, you know, all the, you know, players who, you know, play and then stop playing at around game week 15, 16, 17, whatever it is, they'll have used their chips by then, and then you can kind of get a barometer of where you're going to be looking at. But we didn't start off too well. You know, 37 points is the kicker here. 37 points in the beginning of the week. Didn't have Salah. Salah scored a hat trick. We captained Aubameyang, and we didn't do well, basically. We then had a few good game weeks where we, you know, made amends to it. And then we just kept going. We kept going, and pretty much, I just get rid of that. Basically, we didn't, when we used our chips, was 16, 25, 26, 32, and 36. So we basically didn't use our wild card until way later in the season. We kept it that whole time, and we, you know, spent a lot of points doing it as well. Like transfers made. We made 3 transfers. These transfers actually were quite good. I remember these. They were, it was James Rodriguez. It was Dominic Calvert-Lewin that we brought in. I think Calvert-Lewin scored a hat trick that week as well. But look, like 3-2-2, 3-2-2, 3. Like we spent a lot when we could have potentially just wildcarded right here in game week 2 if we wanted to. And then adjusted the team from there. That may have saved us a lot of points. Although our hits, when we come to look at it, may have paid off. I don't know as of yet. So yeah, we kind of, if we look at where we basically are looking at where we want it to be. So like game week 8. Let's take a look at that. So game week 8. Not sure why let's put it to small. So game week 8. That's kind of where we're looking here. So we're looking at 1.78 million. If we come down to 10 game weeks later, which is a good enough sample size. Game week 18. We've only progressed 200k places. And when you're in the millions, 200k places is like, if you're in the top 10k, it's like progressing from 10k to 9,500, basically. It's not that big of a jump. You're in the top 100k, it's like going from 100k to like 90k, 95k. It's not that crazy of a jump. It's not the exact math, but you know what I mean. Then if we also take a look at, I'm just going to move the arrows to, so when we made our first, basically our big jump, we went to 798k. I'm just going to erase this one here. And then, 798k there. And then if we look at our actual final rank, so from game week 20 to game week 38, which is right here, 727k from 798k. We effectively only made up 70k places over 18 game weeks. That's half the season. It would be like if we let's say we started at 100k, it would be as if we went to 85 to 90k and just sat there basically the whole season. Which, top 100k is not a terrible achievement. It's a very good achievement. I would definitely prefer that over to where I am now. But we had some very, very bad, some very, kind of bad game weeks which kind of hurt us a little bit. Like you can see some patches of the red arrows. 614k, and then we're up in the millions again. 585k, and then we're basically almost up at 1 million again. We did well to get back into the top 1 million, but we kind of stagnated a little bit. And once you get towards like this part of the season, once you get to like game week 29, 30, like this kind of bracket here, when most of the chips are probably exhausted at this point, we still had a couple to play. We still had a couple to play. We played the triple captain in 32 and the free hit in 36. It was going to be very tough to make up some ground from where we were. Yeah, so we'll take a look at the chips later because one of the tools apparently shows it, so we will take a look at that. But overall, didn't get off to the right start, and that started with just picking a bad team off the bat. If we take a look at our Game Week 1 team, our Game Week 1 team consisted of some players that we probably shouldn't have gone with. Robertson and Trent were definitely good, and we tried to use those to kind of cover, as it were, Salah. It just didn't work out. Our team had too many punts in it. It had Doherty from Spurs. That didn't work out at all. Dele Alli was a punt. Kai Havertz was a punt. Timo Werner was in theory fine, but didn't obviously pan out. St. Maximin was kind of a punt. Aubameyang was a good shout, but the team just didn't perform at all. Like if you look at the team overall, Aubameyang got, I think, a goal and a bonus point this week. Oh, goal and a clean sheet point. Didn't even get any bonus points. Timo Werner got an assist. Robertson got an assist, and that was it. There was nothing else on the first week. So getting off the start, getting a good rank initially is what we need to do next season. I think that's rule number 1. So I'm actually going to put that in a notepad. So rule number 1, get the first week right. That's going to be rule number 1. and this is kind of an ambiguous statement. Get the first week right. Obviously, everyone wants to be ranked 1 after the first week, of course. That's not going to happen because somebody's going to triple captain or bench boost or do something crazy off the start. Yeah, we have to get off on the right foot. Obviously, not have as many punts in the team to start with. So, like, I think, Werner's a good punt. He did very well in the Bundesliga, but was just coming into the season for the first time. Mitrovic was a punt, you could say. Adams was probably technically a punt. Dele Alli, Kai Havertz, St. Maximin, Doherty. A large portion of our team were punts. And we went with a very thin bench as well. So maybe we have to work on that for next season. And hopefully I build a smarter team at the start, which is what our goal is going to be. I'm going to spend a lot more time on that. I'm not going to be, going anything crazy with my players. Pick the proven players off the start, and then make your differentials later on once you have a settled, good solid rank. Rule number 1 for me is to never put in Aubameyang. Well, yeah, that may be it too, but Aubameyang was good off the start. I mean, his first 2 fixtures to open the season was Fulham and West Ham, which we thought at the time Fulham was a promoted team. We thought they'd get smacked. Then they had West Ham. They also had Sheffield United in the opening 4. So in theory, Aubameyang could have done well. Yeah, I think he did well for us there. But if we want to take a look at the captaincy, so this is, I'm going to put all these links in the description afterwards. So this is PremierFantasyTools.com, and this is the Captain Pick Analyzer. So we will see how we did for our captaincy picks. So we got 558 total captaincy points. All the ones in green, or whatever pale looking color this is, are the ones that we got a return. So we're looking at an assist or a goal or a clean sheet or more for that player. So I'm just going to count the number of blanks. So we blanked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 out of our 38 captains. De Bruyne, you could say 12. We'll say 12 because this one was just one where De Bruyne basically didn't do anything and he got 2 bonus points somehow. Like he didn't get a return, but he got 2 bonus points. So we'd say 12. So we got 26 out of the 38 captaincy choices. We hit a return, which is 2/3 of the time, basically just over 68.4% of the time. We got our captaincy right. So 2 out of 3 game weeks. We would get our captaincy. We would get some kind of captaincy points. We hit some pretty bad patches of form. So 31 and 34, 3 out of 4, not great. Cancelo was bad in a sea of green. Antonio, Salah, Fernandez in a bunch didn't do too well. A couple back-to-back Salahs didn't do too well, and Salah and Son didn't do too well. Either. Where are we at here? So I'm just gonna close that on my FPL team. So I'm gonna put this back over there. So we'll take a look at game by game, and we'll take a look at the captaincy. So the first game week, we knew Salah scored. That's not what we're going to be looking at here. We're going to be looking at the ones where we went wrong, and were we naive to be captain in this player in this game week. So game week 6 was our first major. Is when we basically captained somebody wrong that week. So we captained Salah this week in game week 6. So the teams that were playing each other this week, it was so what would we consider good fixtures? So Leeds away to Villa would have been okay. Man City away to West Ham, would have been tough by the time the end of the season came around. Chelsea United, obviously that was a no-go. Liverpool versus Sheffield United, obviously a good fixture. Leicester versus Arsenal, not really. So basically it's Spurs away to Burnley, and Liverpool versus Sheffield United. So if this was the same fixtures again next season, so let's say it's Liverpool versus, I don't know, Brentford or Swansea, and Spurs are playing Burnley away, am I gonna go? Am I gonna go with Salah in this game again? Of course I would. So the decision there was a bit unlucky. Salah at home to Sheffield United, or in this case, it'd be at home to Swansea or Brentford next season, whoever gets promoted, or Watford, or Norwich. You would say, I'm going to captain that player, and especially considering Sheffield United finished 20th this season, I don't think that was a bad decision. So that was just a bit unlucky there. Game week 8, we captained Son. So let's take a look at that. Game week 8. So what would be the good fixtures in this one? So we got Brighton versus Burnley, nothing really there. Southampton, Newcastle, nothing there. United away to Everton. United's away form was, showing. But again, maybe not the most, the brightest captaincy choice. Leeds away to Crystal Palace. Now that could have been something that could have enticed us. Chelsea versus Sheffield United, that could have definitely been something that enticed us. Spurs away to West Brom, that could have been something that would entice us. Liverpool and City are playing each other. And Arsenal were playing Villa. Leicester playing Wolves at home. Maybe that was something there. But if I had to say the front runners would be Chelsea versus Sheffield United. And I would say Spurs versus West Brom. Those would be the ones where I'm like, those guys have the big hitters on them. Those would be the ones I'm going for. So, in this game, I believe I captained... what game week are we on? We'd be on... Oop, hit the wrong button. Game week 8. So we captained Son over Kane. Because we thought that, hey, maybe Son could get in behind the West Brom defense. If possible. Captain Kane was probably the smarter decision there. That, I would say, is probably a mistake. Chelsea versus Sheffield United. I can't remember if this was still under Lampard. I think it might have been. But maybe Werner captain would have been good. But I think Kane away to West Brom would have probably been the smarter pick. I feel sorry for anyone who went like Rafinha or something if Rafinha was doing good here for that game. But I would say that one, we can probably say we got that one wrong. We should have captained Kane. Just doesn't make sense. Like, if it was against maybe Leeds or something, then maybe you could say Son. But even then, Kane is... If I have both players on my team, just be smart with it. Just captain Kane. Don't do anything crazy. Then we had a very good string of captains. We got Calvert-Lewin 26, Fernandes 20, De Bruyne 28, Salah 16, or Salah 16, then De Bruyne 8. I'm actually going to count this as a blank. So let's take a look at game week 13. So in game week 13, these are the players that we had. So we had De Bruyne, Salah, and Fernandes. We also had Bamford potentially as captaincy options for this game week. So let's take a look at the fixtures. So the main ones we're looking at is so De Bruyne was at home to West Brom. Bamford was at home to Newcastle. Liverpool and Spurs were playing each other, so probably no go there. United was away to Sheffield United. So with United's away form being prevalent, you could have said Fernandes would have been a good shout, but you could have also said De Bruyne at home to West Brom is probably just as good of a fixture. Gundogan was the only one that scored that day for United. If I would have gone Fernandes, it probably wouldn't have been great either. Rashford getting 2, Martial getting goal and assist, Pogba getting assist, Lindelof getting assist somehow. I think it's a coin toss between those two, and it ended up working out. Man City at home to a relegation team. So let's say next season, if Swansea's the team that comes up and they're looking like they're going to be quite poor, and I have De Bruyne in my team, and I have Fernandes in my team. Fernandes is playing, let's say, Norwich away, and De Bruyne is playing, I don't know, Swansea at home, and I have both of them in my team. I would then look at who was doing well over those weeks, and Fernandez had come off the, he was on a hot streak from 8 to 10, but then it kind of cooled off, so maybe that was why I was disinterested, and I went with De Bruyne. Whereas De Bruyne was in a bit more form over the more recent weeks. Only like he had one off week. He had 2 double-digit holes before that, so maybe I was more inclined to go for that. But I think that one's a bit tough. So I wouldn't necessarily say that was a bad option. Bamford at home to Newcastle. How he doesn't come away with more than just a goal in this one, I don't know. But Leeds at home to Newcastle could have been a differential pick. I didn't go for it. So yeah. 15 and 16. So back-to-back Salah captains. So let's see how things went here. Game week 15, we had Salah, we had Fernandez, and we had Kevin De Bruyne and Bamford in our team. And we picked the lowest point scoring one out of all of them. So let's see what the fixtures were. So, Fernandez was away to Leicester, so a tough fixture. City was at home to Newcastle. And Liverpool was at home to West Brom. So, if I was picking this again, I would be picking either De Bruyne or I'd be picking Salah. I think that decision's perfectly fine. Maybe there's an argument for Spurs away to Wolves, but probably more likely Liverpool versus West Brom. Or City versus Newcastle were probably the ones to go for in my eyes here in terms of fixtures. I don't think that was a wrong decision. Fernandez, I believe, got a goal and assist and max bonus points. Yeah, he did. Salah, they only got 1 goal that day. I think this just after Sam Allardyce took over as well. Man City that day, Gundogan was still scoring for fun. So yeah, I think that one's fine in my opinion. Leeds played. Who did Leeds play? Leeds had Burnley at home, and Bamford was the only one that scored. Maybe there's a case for that as well. But I think Liverpool next season, if they're at home to Swansea or Brentford, and you got Man City playing Newcastle at home, those are going to be the 2 fixtures you look at, personally. And it was a tough decision because I had to pick between basically the 3, and Fernandez was the one who had the worst fixture, but just came out on top because he got a goal and an assist with some bonus points in that one. The next one was game week 16, where we captained Salah as well. Let's see. Game week 16. Yep. It was game week 16. So we had Salah, we had Fernandez, we had Mane. We had a bunch of Leeds players that did well for us. So basically it's really Salah, Mane, and Fernandez. Pretty much. So in this game week, those are the only real players, or maybe like Bamford or something like that. So Leeds had West Brom away, so maybe that was a captain's shout. Man United had Wolves at home, but Liverpool had Newcastle away. Newcastle away should have been potentially a good fixture. I think that one is probably just as good as Leeds away to West Brom. Basically me captaining any of my Leeds players, Rafinha, Bamford, or Rodrigo, because they were all involved in this one. Alioski, Harrison, Rodrigo, Rafinha all scored. Bamford 2 assists. Click and Dallas getting on the assists as well. So yeah, I think that one's a bit closer. But again, if I had to kind of pick it again, I think I would still go with the tried and tested in Salah. Although Leeds' style against some teams in the Championship is probably quite bad for them to play against. But in hindsight, I should have gone Robertson because he got the clean sheet and got some bonus points, max bonus points there. So I think that one's a bit tougher. I wouldn't say that was necessarily a wrong decision. I think that's more of a unlucky type of decision there. In terms of we're just going sheerly off fixtures here, just sheerly off fixtures. Then we had Fernandez in 20. So let's see how that one panned out. So Fernandez in game week 20. The players we had available to us. This was a massive game week. We had Cancelo's. Well, we could have had way more points. We had triple Man City defense. But we had the main captains were Fernandez, Salah, maybe Son, and probably the Leeds players were probably in the reckoning as well. So let's take a look. So we had Leeds away to Newcastle, so maybe that's not a bad fixture, I would say. City away to West Brom. Now, if I had De Bruyne or something like that, maybe I would have gone for it. I didn't go for captaincy on a City defender. I think having triple City defense was a differential enough at that time. So yeah, I think I would have been perfectly fine not captaining in that since I had triple City defense. Maybe it would have been better to bring in De Bruyne or somebody like that, or Gundogan at the time. I didn't have him, who scored 2 that day, so did quite well. Or even Mahrez or Sterling or somebody like that. Them getting goal assists as well. Chelsea at home to Wolves. I think this was Thomas Tuchel's first game, if I remember correctly. And a no-no. Spurs and Liverpool were playing each other. Everton, Leicester, again, closer contest. United was at home to Sheffield United. So again, fixture-wise, United should be doing a lot better than losing at home to Sheffield United, I would think. Maguire actually scoring the only goal. So I think there's not really too much to say about that. United versus a team that's just been promoted at home should be better than Leeds away to Newcastle. It should be better than Spurs or Liverpool. Is it better than Man City away to West Brom? Probably not. I think United at home probably trumps Man City away if they're up against equal opposition. I would think. Obviously, with Man City being the better team, maybe that changes next season. Maybe I say, well, if City and Man United both have good fixtures, and I have, let's say, De Bruyne or Fernandes, I'm going De Bruyne no matter what type of thing, because they're just the better team. Maybe, unless there's an inclination of a benching or a rotation. Then in 22 and 23, we had 2 blanks, which happened, 3 times? So out of my 12 blanks, half of them were actually on back-to-back weeks, which made it probably a little bit worse. So 22, we captained Salah. Let's see. 22. Who do we have available in 22? So in 22, we still have triple City defense. We have Son, we have Calvert-Lewin, we have Antonio, we have Bamford, we have Salah, we have Fernandes. So we have some decent players to pick from. Souček 9 points on the bench isn't great. So the fixtures here, so Spurs and Chelsea are playing each other. Liverpool at home to Brighton. Brighton's numbers were very good defensively at the time, so maybe looking at it now, that probably wasn't the best thing to do. And I think Southampton's numbers were also not great at the time either. So maybe Fernandes would have been the right pick there. I mean, they got a red card in the first few minutes, and if you just look at it there, the list goes off the page. So yeah, that was pretty insane. So in hindsight, maybe it was better to say, hey, look, this defense was not looking good or hasn't been good. Maybe it's better. And then City away to Burnley, they were probably never going to drum them unless it was at home. If it was at home, it's obviously you go for that fixture. But I think probably we definitely made an incorrect decision here in 22. In 23, we had Salah, we had Fernandes, we had Son, we had Antonio, and we had Calvert-Lewin, who we benched for 12 points. So that's a yikes. Why did we bench Calvert-Lewin? Oh, because he was at versus Man United, of course. Which, if I'm looking at it now, West Ham are away to Fulham. Who were City playing? City were playing Liverpool. Spurs were playing... Who did Spurs play? West Brom. Leicester were playing Wolves away. Honestly, I probably in theory, I should have played Calvert-Lewin because United's ability to defend set pieces was extremely bad. Excuse me. And playing Calvert-Lewin would have been the smarter play than playing Barnes away, because Barnes is probably going to get in most probably like an assist versus Wolves because they're going to stay compact and play quite defensive. Martinez was versus Arsenal, and Pope was versus... Who did Pope play? Where's Burnley? Burnley played Brighton. Brighton weren't scoring very many. If that was a goalkeeper decision there, I probably would have still gone with Pope. But I think that's a wrong decision there, the Calvert-Lewin one. the matchup for Barnes probably wasn't great versus Wolves away. The top 8 teams, as it were, typically struggle versus Wolves, even at home. And Calvert-Lewin is he scored late on. I remember versus United, but he got a goal and assist in that as well. But I think United were terrible at set pieces, so Calvert-Lewin could have easily scored off a set piece. Antonio captain away to Fulham. Was this the best captaincy option? Liverpool were playing City, so probably wouldn't go in either team there. Spurs was probably definitely the best captaincy choice, or Leeds, I would say, from what I can tell. United probably, again, against Everton. Everton's defense wasn't great, and United did well against Everton last time, so maybe that was a way to go. But if I had to rank them, I would say probably Spurs at home to West Brom for sure. Then probably Leeds, and then probably Man United. So did I have any Spurs players on my team? I could have captained Son, and that would have been definitely a better choice. So I think that's a mistake there too. So I would say that was a mistake. The Fernandez 1 in 20 was. I think we've had like. So how many ones we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. And I would say probably 3 of them are mistakes, which is one extra, and it would have been half. So, if I've counted them correctly. Then 27, we captained Cancelo. All right, let's see why we did that. Oh, this is a nightmare week. I mean, you just look at that team. Both goalkeepers did well, so not much in that. But we got Gundogan on 10 points, Kane on 19, De Bruyne on 16, Shaw on 14 on the bench. Not ideal. So let's take a look at the fixtures there. So, captaincy fixtures. So if we're looking at it, so out of the first 4 games, I don't think there's any real captaincy shouts. Maybe Southampton. But did we have any Southampton players at the time? No, we didn't. Liverpool at home to Fulham would have potentially been a captaincy shout. The Manchester Derby, so that's not what we're looking for. Spurs at home to Crystal Palace. That should be that's an error for sure. Spurs at home to Crystal Palace. That could have been a fixture to captain in. But City had a double game week. So City had Man United at home, Southampton at home. And we captained a very risky rotation player in Cancelo, who didn't play the second fixture, which is not ideal. So we should have probably gone with somebody more tried and tested, like a De Bruyne, who actually ended up getting 2 open play goals versus Southampton, or Gundogan would have probably been better. Kane got a hat-trick, I think he did. I know, 2 goals, 2 assists versus Palace. Obviously, it's a double game week, so you're probably more inclined to captain Man City, mainly for that Southampton fixture, and Manchester Derby, anything's possible. At worst, it's a 0-0 for either team in most cases. And then City should beat Southampton comfortably because their defense was just bad. So I would say that's a mistake. So we're looking at 4 out of 9 now. 31, we had Fernandez captained. So if we look at 31, who did we have available here? So we had Fernandez, we had Jota, we had Kane, we had Son, and we had Vardy. So captaincy options for this week. So City at home to Leeds could have potentially been a good captaincy shout, although I didn't have any players from them because I think this is when we were kind of jumping off the City bandwagon. Liverpool at home to Villa could have been decent. Did Salah score here? He did. And Trent scored, and Robertson got an assist. Probably got burnt for that. Chelsea away to Palace could be decent. Could have been decent. United versus Spurs. So for some reason, I decided to captain Fernandes in that one. Arsenal away to Sheffield United could have been a decent fixture to go for. Leicester versus West Ham could have potentially been good. But based on the scores given, there was no real good captaincy for my team. In theory, what I probably should have done is gone with Jota at home. But in the end, it would have just balanced out. So in hindsight, doesn't really change too much. But again, Fernandes away, maybe there was something there, and I kind of just backed my team versus Spurs, I guess. There's not really much I can do with those fixtures, to be honest. Like Spurs and United could have easily conceded against each other, and then it would just been a shootout between who gets it on United and who gets it on Spurs. So yeah, I think maybe probably would have been just go with the home fixture, go with Liverpool at home to Villa, who defensively weren't entirely great. I mean, I was benching Martinez anyway, so I could have doubled down on that, but that was a bit of a tricky one. 33, we picked Fernandes again. So we had Salah, we had Fernandes, we had Iheanacho, and we had Vardy were like our main ones. So we had Liverpool at home to Newcastle, so that's a very good fixture. We had United away to Leeds, so that potentially could have been primed. And then Leicester at home to Crystal Palace. So if I had to rank these, I would say probably the better fixture is probably Liverpool, to be honest. Liverpool at home is way better than a United at away fixture in normal circumstances. Leeds were playing, decently well. We were all thinking, it's not going to be a 0-0. It was a 6-2 last time. Should have maybe expected a 0-0 that time. So if we would have captained Salah, we would have been up 6 points on that. Who would have been probably the default captain. So I would say we definitely made a mistake there. So that's, 5 or 6 captaincies now out of like 11. So again, if 50% of the captaincy bundle, or blunders as it were, have been look at the fixture, you picked the wrong fixture type of thing. In terms of there was a clear better fixture that you should have gone for, captain that player. Don't overthink it. Don't be like, oh, well, it was 6-2 last time United and Leeds. Yeah, of course, because United was at home. Away, they were always going to correct that. 34 was Vardy. So we had in 34. This was when Jota and Salah and Fernandes and Shaw didn't play because the Manchester and Liverpool game was postponed due to the Glazer out protests. So we went with Vardy, and our vice captain was Son. So basically, I think the only captaincy option we had was basically Vardy or Son or maybe Lingard. So let's see. So we had Leicester away to Southampton. So that's not a terrible fixture. Leicester were also playing better away from home. And we had a lot of data to show that. 33 weeks of it before then. Spurs at home to Sheffield United. And United was supposed to play Liverpool in this week, but it obviously got postponed. So if I'm looking at it again, I'm thinking to myself, why haven't I captained my Spurs player versus Sheffield United? They were in 20th. They were going to get relegated. Why didn't I do that? So that, again, is another mistake. So we're looking at basically half the captaincies that I didn't make were at least down to just looking at the fixtures and just not picking the best one, basically, which I'm someone who basically goes on the fixture. So point number 2. Pick the best fixture for captaincy. And I think Andy spoke about this a lot on his review as well. Basically, he said there was only 1 week where he thought that he didn't have the best captaincy option for, like, in terms of the fixture and whatnot. And that was Fernandes when United was playing somebody and ended up captaining Rashford instead. And Rashford ended up only getting like 2 or 3 points. Fernandes ended up getting a penalty, and coming away with a double-digit hole. So yeah, I think that's definitely a blunder there. And then we had some, captains towards the end of the season that did okay for themselves. Fernandez 38, Aguero 20 was quite good. The Kane triple captain was good as well. So yeah, pick the best fixture for captaincy. And to kind of caveat this, I would say if you don't have a captain for it, look to get them in. So basically, if I don't have a captain for that game, so let's say I'm going into this week, I ain't got any Spurs players or anything like that. I need to make it a priority to have a Spurs player going into it. Son ended up with goal assist. Spurs scoring 4 and Kane getting none of them is very unlikely. Bale getting 3 was obviously crazy. I think this was the week that Luke got he captained, or did he captain Bale? I think he might have captained Bale. So yeah. And yeah, so that's it for the captaincy points. But yeah, basically it just shows the rows of red are less than 7 points or less than 10 for triple captain. So yeah, I think I only captained a defender once all season. That was Cancelo. That didn't work out. Let's see, our most blanked captain. So we had in all the blanks, we had Salah 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 blanks from Salah, 1, 2, 3 from Fernandez. We captained Antonio once randomly, Vardy once, Cancelo once, Son once, and basically all of our rogue captains apart from Aguero, but he plays for one of the big teams. I would say so. Rafinha didn't blank. Bamford didn't blank. Calvert-Lewin didn't blank. And Aubameyang, I guess, didn't blank. But most of our other road captains, they just failed miserably, basically. Now let's take a look at something that's really, really cool. So this site is called FPL Retro. So that's FPLretro.com. You punch in your ID. And you get to see a very, very cool. Let me see if I can I change this? Do I have a scene that makes this better? I don't have a scene that makes this easier to see. Let me see if I can how am I going to do this? Let me see if I can add a... go window capture, we'll just call it test or something. Because I want you guys to see this, because it's really, really good. So, I'm just going to make this as small as possible. Or as big as possible, rather. So, let me put the webcam ahead of that. I'll put the title ahead of that. We'll hide that, hide that, hide that, hide that. We're just going to hide a bunch of different stuff here. Right. There we go. That's a little bit better. Should be able to see that quite nicely. Now, so yeah, this is a, like I said, FPL Retro. Apologies for the changing around. In the ball, just skip across all that. But basically, this is a site where it basically gives you a snapshot of your overall, your transfers, your chips, your history, your team in the season, and we're looking at our overall here. So we have our points, we have our final rank. My best game week was game week 35 with 113 points. That was the double game week. If we remember that, we took a -8. I believe we brought in this was the United triple game week. So we captained Fernandez, we brought in Maguire, we brought in, I think, Ward-Prowse as well. So we did decently well. Yeah, it makes my team look a bit crazy. So yeah, if we look at the most captain player we captained was Salah, and he blanked. I think it was 3 times for us, so only a 70% record on Salah. Total captain score was 558, with a potential captaincy score of 941. Now, if you're over 50%, I think that's probably fine. You want to get, obviously, as close to that score as possible. No one's ever going to get your maximum potential captaincy score. It's not possible. Best performance of the season was Fernandez, who we captained with 38 points in that game week, so we did well. Our best period was from actually game week 18 to game week 22, which, funnily enough, we wildcarded in 16, but we didn't use any chips around that, which is interesting. And then our worst period was actually from 30 to 34, where we kind of just muffed around a bit and kind of didn't really go anywhere, which isn't ideal. And if we look at our rank progression on the graph here, so we started way down. We came way up, and then we kind of just slowly kind of made our way. Then we had a little jump, and then we kind of stayed there and kind of hovered around there. So basically, once we hit a certain point, we made a big jump, and then we just stayed there. So we never went jump, 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 jump. We just went jump, stay, and that was it for pretty much the whole the whole season, pretty much. Our average game week points was 58.7. So not terrible. You know, if we can get at least 50 points every week, then we're going to be looking quite good. So an average of 58.7 points. Now there's obviously some exceptions because it was crazy double game weeks and that sort of stuff. So that's probably not the best metric. Most overall points: Fernandez with 247, Salah with 219, and Kane with 128. So I got quite a bit of Fernandez's points, a good bit of Salah's, but not nearly enough of Kane's, I think. That's for sure. We now change to the transfers, so the graphs have changed a little bit here. So if we say total number of transfers, we made 65 total transfers. So we made 100. We took 124 points worth of hits. The most points I benched in a single game week was 27. I believe that was when Troll got 14. I want to say. Our best transfers, including hits, was on the final day of the season. We brought in we took out Calvert-Lewin, Fernandez, Masuaku to Aguero, Willock, and Robertson in a straight-up swap that netted us 26 points, including the hits. Our worst transfers was when we made that -20. I still believe that kind of set us up better later on, but in an isolation 1 week, we lost 13 points on that swing. So total transfer points in was 387 on that game week right away. Total points transferred out was 134, and our net benefit, including hits, so we made 129 points from those transfers, as wacky as some of them were. So it proves that hits can still, even 124 points worth of hits, can still benefit you scores in the long run. So our team was obviously way better than our game week 1 team for pretty much the whole season. This graph shows it here. There's going to be some anomalies there where like maybe Ali scored or Aubameyang scored randomly or something like that. Our chips, so we're going to take a look at that. So we used our first wild card in game week 16. That was the game week before it went into the second half of the season. Because the second one to set up for the double in 26, where we bench boosted. 32, we triple captained Kane because he had a double, and then we free hit in 36 because that's when there were blanks. So our first wild card netted us 16 points, so that's not bad. And I think it set us up decently because our best period was the game week 18 to the 22nd. I think that's when we had our Leeds players and whatnot. Was it our Leeds players? I'm just gonna quickly check. The screen's gonna look wonky for a second. Game week 18. Yes, this was when we still had our Leeds players and we were going to use them later on. So let's move back to this. So our free hit when we used it was 36. If I hadn't have free hit it, I would have been 20 points worse off. So again, I think that's quite successful. Our triple captain was Kane, who got us 36 points. But our best game week to triple captain was Bruno Fernandes in 35. We didn't have the triple captaincy available at that point, because we used it on Kane before, and we didn't know United was going to get a triple captain, triple captaincy score at that time of that size, and basically a triple game week of that size as well. And he was only going to play 2 in that. He did do well. What's that? 57 is what? 90, or not 90? 19 points versus Kane's 12. So I think that was fine. The triple captaincy, 2 goals from Kane. It's basically a goal a game. Not too bad. Our wildcard 2 was actually quite disappointing. Had we not wildcarded, we would have been 5 points better off, or 4 points better off. But it's set up for the bench boost the following week, where we got 31 points from our bench. I think we took a -8 as well. So we still did quite well. 20 something points from our bench boost. So I think our chips overall were very, very good. Our triple captaincy was definitely better from the end of last season, where we did play, where we were still doing videos at that point. We triple captained Vardy, who he only scored once in the 4-1 drumming that they took from Bournemouth. I don't think our wild cards were very good. I don't think my bench boost ended up being very good either. Yeah. My history, obviously, it's only one season, so it's obviously going to rank the highest. And then my team of the season. So this one's actually quite interesting as well. Probably a little bit more difficult to see. But my goalkeeper of the season was basically Martinez, which makes sense considering I brought him in a bit late and I didn't really have a very good goalkeeper because I had McCarthy. My defenders, Cancelo, Robertson, and Diaz, all under 100 points, is probably one of the more disappointing things, I would say. No midfielder above, or no defender above that. Robertson, Liverpool were very bad for a long time. Diaz and Cancelo just didn't bring Diaz in time, basically, and then they started getting rotated. Cancelo, I probably should have maybe gone with Stones, maybe, who knows. Fernandes, 247 points, that's quite good. Salah, 219 points, not as much as we would have liked, but quite good. De Bruyne, 104 points, probably stuck with him too long. Son and Kane, that's probably a very disappointing set there. Only 128 points and 101 points from Son and Kane. Definitely could have got more there had I been a bit more aggressive. Calvert-Lewin, I think it did decently well with him. Bamford only 80 points, so I think that's also a disappointment. So I'd say Spurs boys didn't jump on them quick enough. Leeds guys didn't jump on them quick enough, and my defenders were probably the biggest disappointment. And De Bruyne didn't get off him quick enough either. And then Martinez was just brilliant. Formation wise, 3-4-3 and 3-5-2 was used 30 out of my 38 times. With 4-3-3, 4-5-1, and 4-4-2 used very infrequently. But it's interesting to see that I only used the 3-5-2 8 times all season, which is weird because in a formation with 3-4-3, you would think Kane would be in it. And I didn't have Kane for very much of the season, or not much of his points. At least early on anyway, so which is quite interesting. So yeah, that is FPL Retro. So I'll make sure to put that in the description as well. So make sure to check that out. I'm gonna remove that. Put that back up. Put that up. League code, gaming points, gaming rank. There we go. Just gonna zoom that back to 100%, so you can see the team a little bit better. But so this here, I'm gonna minimize this. This should be a little bit easier to see when we scroll down. So this is called a new PLA .net. I'll put this in the description as well. And basically, this is kind of similar to FPL Retro in a sense, where it breaks down your gaming, your captaincy, and all that sort of stuff too. But the one thing that I'm interested in is where was it? So somebody showed it. Oh, here we go. So we have on this table right here, total number of keeper points played, 171. Total benched keeper points was 63. So times played, so the wrong, as in the fewer points keeper, 6 times that happened. 6 times that happened, where I played the wrong goalkeeper. When you break that down, that's basically 1 in 6 game weeks I'm playing my wrong goalkeeper, which is a big problem that I think we need to address next season as well. So, 3. We're gonna put this as another note. So I put set and forget goalkeeper question mark. So basically, rotating goalkeepers have burnt me 6 times this season, which isn't ideal. So here we go. Another useful table here. So it's a player, and then it's the times how many times I played them, how many points I got from, and the average points I got from. So Fernandez, I had. Is it times played? This is how many times I had them in my team? No. Oh, this is captaincy. Every time I captained them. So I captained Fernandez. I captained Salah 10 times, and his average points was 13 points. I captained Fernandez 8 times, and his was 16 points. I was very successful with De Bruyne captain 4 times, and the average is 16 points. Kane 22 points, so I was very good at captain Kane. I only captained him a few times, which was quite nice. But if you look at some of the you know, the kind of the road captains, only captain Son once, didn't do well. Only captain Cancelo once, didn't do well. Only captain Antonio once, didn't do well. But for the most part, I was pretty decent at captaining. Vardy, I captained him twice. He didn't do well one time, but did well the other time. Aubameyang still even averaged 12 points for the captaincy across the two. So again, my captaincies were pretty decent. If we look at this little stats table here. Number of goals, so I had 106 goals that I played in my team. I only benched 7 goals, 7 assists. But the big issue that I had was I benched 14 clean sheets. Now, when you break that down, 14 is close to 15, which is almost a quarter. So 25% extra clean sheets I had on my bench versus what I had in my actual team, which isn't ideal. I benched a decent bit of yellow cards, which isn't terrible. Red cards, I had 1 played, 1 bench. That's probably about average, I would think, as well. And then this is going to be an interesting one. So average points when I played them. So there's obviously going to be some anomalies like Aguero and Aubameyang for average points played. So this is the column we're looking at here. But if we look at a player, Kane, I played him in 12 out of the 38 game weeks, and he averaged me 10.7 points. De Bruyne, 10 game weeks played, he averaged me 10.4 points. Fernandez and Salah averaged me quite a lot of points as well. So if you think about it, Kane and De Bruyne, when I had them and played them, were probably more worth their price. Salah played him 25 times, only averaged 8.8 points, and he started at 12 million. Diaz, I had him for only 6 game weeks played. If we look here, 6 game weeks I played him, and he averaged 7.8 points, and he only cost 5.5 million initially, so he was definitely worth his price. Calvert-Lewin, played him 15 times, 109 points, averaged 7.3 points. Started at 7 million, I think, in the season, so that's about right. Rafinha started at 5.5, I want to say. 9 times, 7.3 points. Very good value. And then some disappointments. If we go down here, Jamie Vardy, 11 times, 5.8 points. Son, 18 times, only 5.6 points. So I didn't get anywhere near Son's good hauls at the beginning of the season in the first 6 game weeks. Patrick Bamford, 15 times, only 5.3 points on average when he had some, a lot better. I had him out for a long time and he was still scoring well. Martinez, again, only had him for 14 game weeks, 4.9 points. Not great. Then I have a lot of players in here. Jesse Lingard did well for a lot of players. I had him for 5 game weeks. He only averaged 4.2 points for me, which isn't great. Some people had him and they were excellent. Trent Alexander-Arnold, another one, only 4 points average. Had him for 8 game weeks. Luke Shaw, only 3.5 points, and he was doing quite well stat-wise. So again, a situation where maybe not the best transfer. Is there any others here? I think here's another one. Ayling, we had him in for 5 game weeks in our team. 5 game weeks, averaged 1.6 points. Him and Dallas at one point were very similar in terms of their expected goals and expected assists. But it just never paid out for Ayling. Next season, Ayling's probably going to be a 4.5 million defender. And Dallas is going to be a 6 million midfielder. So, won't have to really worry about that if you're going for a Leeds defender. But I have a lot of players in here that just weren't great at all. Cresswell, played him 3 times, 0.3 points. After how good he was this season. Just a very, very unlucky transfer there. Just missed his points, basically. And that's probably what happened a lot this season for me. A lot of players, when I brought them in, I missed the holes, basically. I brought in Gundogan late. I brought in Diaz late. I brought in Cresswell late. So I need to recognize this player played well. Why did they play well? And should I be bringing them in right away because they're going to be, they're catching fire. So I would say number 4 is basically, I guess, identify players catching form much sooner, because we were way behind the 8 ball on that one. There was one other table I think in here that was quite good. Oh, it was right here, the game week stages. So if we look in the from 20 to 38, we had a better average of points. So we definitely played better in the latter half of the season. And that's definitely showed from game weeks 20 to 28. Although from 29 to 38, we had less points. Whether that's just because there was less games being played, I'm not entirely sure. But 20 to 28 is where we did some of our best work, basically. And then captaincy is another interesting point here. So points range here. So this is one thing you like to see. We never captained someone who got 0 or less points, which is nice. 11 times we captained somebody. 11, 22, 30, 38, yeah. So 11 times we captained somebody that had 1 to 6 points, which isn't great. 11 times we captained somebody with 7 to 15, which is quite good. 16 to 24 points, we got 8 times, and 25 to 40, we got 8 times as well. So basically, the super holes, as it were, from 16 and higher. 16 and higher is like a midfield goal and a clean sheet point, or a midfield goal and a net, like a bonus point. So you're looking at like a double-digit hole or whatnot, where you're getting in that range. And higher, we got 16, so we got quite a bit. So basically, half the time we were getting a decent captaincy hit when we hit it, basically. So 50% on basically the hole, which is quite good. I think that's quite good. We have another table that's just off to the side here. Let me see if I can minimize it a little bit, see if I can bring it into play. It's this table here, and I'll just kind of read it out, basically. But basically, it says total transfers, we made 65 of them. Hit points hits 124, auto subs 18, sub points was 57, and total immediate points gained from transfers was 304. So with the hits, obviously, we had we still made 180-ish points, excluding what the players scored that week as well. So we were up by 120 something points, I think we saw, on the retro site. So yeah, and that was anewpla.net. So anewpla.net. And it basically shows you all the different your different week breakdowns as well. It's zoomed in, so it's kind of hard to see. So but let's move it back over to the team here. So this is what we ended on. We'll go back to the originator as well. So these are the rules that we have for next season. So rule number 1 is going to be get off on the first week on the right foot, basically. That's going to be rule number 1. Pick the best fixture for captaincy, because half the time our captains blanked. It was because we didn't pick the best fixture. We literally went through it and saw that there were times where Liverpool had a home fixture, let's say, against a very good team, and we went with like Antonio or something, who may have had a good fixture himself, but again, go with the tried and tested potentially. Maybe that's what I need to get back to. Set and forget goalkeeper. So we had 6 times out of the 38 game weeks. So what's that as an actual percentage? 6 divided by 38. So basically 15% of the time. So you're looking at around 1 in 6, 1 in 7 of the time. Our goalkeeper on our bench was scoring more points. So that's something maybe we have to consider for next season. Maybe we just go with a set and forget goalkeeper. And we just bring in the goalkeeper that's good, has a good run of fixtures. Then we swap him out for a keeper that has a good run of fixtures there. Maybe that's what we have to do. 4 is identify players catching form sooner. And that may coincide with the best fixtures. Not necessarily for captaincy, but just good fixtures overall. And then I would say probably our 5th and final goal for next season is kind of I would say stick to the plan. I would say is probably the next goal, because a lot of the times I had plans and I was saying this looks good, and then second guess myself. I went with the 50-50 that I wasn't originally going for, and then I basically shot myself in the foot and could have had more points. And that came down to a couple of the captaincy decisions, came to some of the transfer decisions, and then I used to end up getting myself in a whole mess, basically. So when I have a plan and I think, okay, this is what we're going to do, we're going to bring in this player for this fixture, so on and so forth, stick to the plan. If it's a good plan on paper, nothing goes astray in terms of what would make that plan good. So like as an example, we were saying we're going to Salah plays United, Spurs, Chelsea in the next 3 game weeks. We'll get rid of him, but we'll make plans to bring him back in for when he plays Burnley, Watford, Brentford, Newcastle. After that, we have to stick to that plan, unless like Liverpool gets a whole bunch of injuries or something crazy happens. Then we'll stick to that plan. Don't say, oh well, maybe I can cover him with this, or maybe this is better, and then we can plan our hits better, basically, if we need to take them. And I think that's something we probably have to reduce on as well, but that's kind of a given based on our season. So that's what we're going to stick to, I think. So I'm gonna make sure I copy these and put them in a nice place, basically. To where we can look at them for next season. But yeah, that has been the season review. We've been live for quite a bit here, actually. Let's see. How long have we been live for? Almost an hour 30, including the intro and stuff. So, yeah, we've been live for quite a while. So, let's go over to the big screen. Thank you all for joining us for the streams and the videos this season. I hope it was a good one for you. Congrats again to, let me just make sure I get the name right, because I don't want to get it wrong, because you won the first, the inaugural Flames Recruit League. Dinko Brakenov for winning the Flames Recruit League. He is now the title of Flame Lord, and will be known as such, and I hope he joins, as well as the rest of you join for our league next season as well. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, Flames Recruit League will be in full effect next season. As well, we'll be doing FPL next season. We'll be looking to potentially get, well, hopefully, a better rank, and we'll, like I said, we'll stick to our rules, as it were, and we'll see if we can do better for next season. Also, make sure to put all those resources down in the comments below on the VOD on Twitch for this video when it goes up. And yeah, I'm going to be signing off for like Twitch and YouTube and stuff. I'll still be on Twitter looking at some things, transfer news and that sort of stuff, because I'm going to be doing a bunch of stuff tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and a little bit of Wednesday. But hopefully, if things go well, we'll be back on Thursday with our Man United career mode. We're going to be taking the United team. We're not going to make any transfers, and we're going to play it with the team that United have. We're going to see if we can get a better points total than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did this season. He got 74 points and came second, but he didn't come away with any trophies. So hopefully we can come away with some silverware. I believe I'm going to play on World Class, because I'm not that good of a FIFA player, but I think World Class is kind of like the challenging level for me, to whereas it's like, you know, versus the AI, like I can still do well, but if I'm not, you know, fully playing playing good, I can definitely get beaten. I'm not going to play on like Ultimate or Legendary or whatever, because I'm not that good, but we will give it a go. We will give it a go, and we want to be a world-class manager at the end of the day. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and make sure to check out, like I said, all the content that's going to be here starting middle of next week here on Twitch. And yeah, we'll be doing videos for various different things over the summer. We'll hopefully be doing watch along for the final for the Euros. Won't be able to do a watch along for the Champions League, even though I wanted to do one. But again, we're going to be doing some stuff during that this weekend. I will be reacting to Southgate's final team. That video will be up on probably the Tuesday when it comes out later on in the EST evening time. And then I have a couple other things that I'll have to take a look at in the pipeline. But yeah, mainly it's going to be the United career mode, and we'll see if we can do better than Solskjaer's tricky Reds did this season. And come away with some silverware. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Follow us on all the social and that sort of stuff. Congrats again to Dinko Brakenov for winning the Flames Recruit League, and we will see you in the next FPL season. Take care.